There you go. want to welcome everybody in. It's Don't At Me. I'm Dan Dakich. I'm your host. Tell your friends. Let's get rocking and rolling here. I'm so tired of the bullshit that comes out of Washington. I'm so tired of it. I'm going to get into that. You know, I know a lot of you come here for sports, but since this is Outkick, we are going to get a little political today because I'm frankly tired of all sides. I've had enough. I've had enough of senators. I've had enough of Fauci. I've had enough of bullshit lying. I mean, how about just one time in our lifetimes? How about this? We just tell the truth. Hey, look, I don't need the nuclear codes. I don't need that. But I need, if a virus came from somewhere, how about we just say it? How about that? How about we have politicians that don't try to profit out of their position? I don't care if you call anybody a moron. I'm going to get into this. I don't think sitting senators are these people above reproach. But I also don't think our nation's servants, as they call themselves, should be bullshitting us all the time, and I've had enough of it. But first, I'm going to get into a little bit of sports here. Ding, ding, ding! The witch is dead. Bob Knight and Bob Hamill, icons in the world of college basketball, are celebrating today, ladies and gentlemen. There are no more undefeated teams in college basketball. How about them apples? That's right, no more undefeated. Zero, nada, none. None. First, I got to tell you, Stanford beat USC. Now, Stanford beat USC. Why is that even on here? Well, because yesterday I was espousing how great USC is. And then they get their ass beat last night by Stanford. And here's why I set this game up first. Because I want to explain college basketball to you. All these monotone voices on ESPN and Fox and CBS, they are going to break this down for you, and they're going to do a really good job of it. You know, when you watch them on TV, guys do a really good job of breaking down the game. Let me break it down in words that you can understand. Make or miss shots. Now look, I understand that we have to, as a society, break things down and tell you what's what and tell you how it's going and tell everybody, all right, this is what happened so that we all sound smart. It all comes down to making or missing shots. USC missed 6 of their last 7 yesterday. USC missed 6 of 7, missed 3 free throws. Look, I understand that we all want this to be nuclear physics, or we all want this to be, I don't know, some kind of bullshit thing, but it's not. It's making or missing shots. It's literally that simple. You make, you win. You miss, you lose. I'm telling you right now, that's the way of the world. That's what is happening in all of basketball. I don't care unless you got the big old kid in 8th grade who just backs it down, dribbles in, and kicks everybody's backside. It's making or missing shots. So let me talk about Baylor. Baylor was the last undefeated. Baylor had not lost in a long time. 21-game winning streak. They were dynamite. They are dynamite. Look, one loss in college basketball. I mean, come on, who really cares? But the truth of the matter is, last night, Texas Tech, went into Waco, the home of Chip and what's her name, Lee? Joanna. Good Bones? No, it's not Good Bones. What's it called? Fixer Upper. The home of RG3. RG3 last year at the national championship, by the way, I was sitting in the suite next to him. What a child. He was wearing his own Robert Griffin jersey. Now, no offense to anybody, but I couldn't do it. Sorry, I couldn't do it. But anyway, RG3. That's the home of these guys. Chip and Joanna, the most famous person in Waco. The most infamous, we all know, is David Koresh. I mean, what the hell is that guy thinking? But anyway, Chip and Joanna. Baylor. Undefeated. The last undefeated. Because earlier in the day, USC got beat. Bob Knight, the 1976 Hoosiers, with a glass of champagne ready. Hold the phone. Baylor gets up 15. What are we doing? Baylor, you're kicking ass. You're rolling. You're at home. I did see empty seats there. Let me ask you a question, Baylor fans. What the hell does it take for you all to sell a place out? Honest to God, you got a great coach. You got a great team. You got a fun team. You got a big-time game because Mark Adams and the boys at Texas Tech are going to ball so hard, and you're not sold out. All this on the line. 31-15 Baylor early. I kind of turned it off. I said, But what happened? Boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, we got a ball game. What happened? A kid named Kevin McCullers. Kevin McCullers had been out the previous 2 games. Kevin McCullers battling an ankle. Kevin McCullers at Texas Tech lifts up. Kevin McCullers not only lifts up, but he lifts up for a massive 3, and he drills it with about 2 minutes to go. It extends the lead. And Baylor is in trouble. Baylor does what Baylor does, though. Baylor came back, man. Baylor came back and came back hard, but at the end of the day, that 3 gave enough cushion, for Baylor to get beat. 65-62. When you watch college basketball or the NBA, look, here's the deal. Think about making or missing. I go back. The year was 1987. Indiana got the ball down 1. Keith Smart, left side, takes the pass from Darryl Thomas. Falling to his left, shooting to his right. Whap! National championship won. Bob Knight a hero. Jim Boeheim a 0. I learned right there. Make or miss. Boom! That's the difference. And last night, ladies and gentlemen, not Lance McCullers. Lance McCullers was a good baseball player. Kevin McCullers drills a 3. Spread is out. Next thing you know, Baylor loses. No more undefeated. Kansas and Iowa State, not going to lie, ended up 62-61. The only thing I cared about that game was the over, and we did not win that. We did win the Kentucky game, though. Kentucky routed Vanderbilt last night. And we knew that was going to happen. That was the easiest bet. I told you that they made a mistake in Vegas. Hey, I want to welcome everybody. You're on the YouTube chat. I see Robert Shelby, Sean Black, Nathan Harris in the house. We got a lot of folks watching us on YouTube, and we thank all of you for that. I'll shout you out. Dave Carroll, Jim Reed, John Matthews, Outkick is on there, and Sean Black, the president. And, of course, Robert Shelby, who is also, Robert Shelby is raising a glass as he was a manager back in the day at Indiana. Us Indiana people, now let me tell you something. We want to be the last undefeated team. We're not publicly as vocal as Mercury Morris was and all the guys from the 72 Dolphins, but everybody at Indiana takes great pride in being the last undefeated team, and that happened last night. It did. I'm telling you. See, Bob Knight wanted 2 things in this world. Bob Knight wanted to remain the last undefeated team. Now, he will act like he doesn't, but I was with him 17 years. It was a big deal. When UNLV got beat in 91 by by Duke, holy cow. Champagne dreams, baby. And then every year we celebrate. The other thing that we're very proud of, I forget what it is, but I'll remember it later on because I forget stuff. In the middle of shows, I forget stuff. It's unbelievable. My mind goes a million different ways. Lee, does my mind go a million different ways? Yeah, oh, Jesus, with a response. It goes a million different ways, and I forget. Warriors, Grizzlies. Warriors, Grizzlies. Now, flashback a few years ago, you'd never talk about this game because the Warriors would have won by 627. The Warriors would have kicked everybody's ass. Guess what happened last night? One team won its 10 straight. You know who it wasn't? It wasn't the freaking Warriors. It was the Grizzlies. I dare you. Other than Ja Morant, name me a player on the freaking Grizzlies. Do, 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 do. Name me one. I'm waiting. Hey, I'm waiting. Who you got? Name me one. Jody Shelton, Mocha. Name me one. You can't. Zaire Williams had 17. Zaire Williams played where? I'll wait. I'll give you a hint. We already talked about their team. Zaire Williams played at Stanford. There you go. I know Nathan Harris, John Morant. I said, tell me somebody else. Jaren Jackson Jr., yeah, okay, there you go. Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain's a great story. I'll tell you about Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain played at a little parochial school. I don't know why I'm pointing that way, because that's east. Where I sit, that's east. East is Richmond, Indiana. Desmond Bain played at a little parochial school, St. Something, in Richmond, Indiana. He ends up at TCU. I'm down doing a game, TCU, I think it was against Florida maybe. And I'm watching this kid, Desmond Bain. I think I know every great player out of Indiana. I don't, because I did not know Desmond Bain. I'm watching Desmond Bain play for TCU, and he's the best player I've seen, maybe all year, best wing. And I'm like, whoa, who's Desmond Bain? I don't say much because TCU really wasn't very good. They were okay. And every guy at TCU looks like they are an assistant professional golf pro at the local country club. Swear to God, every guy does. Next time you go to TCU, if you ever go, look at the people in the stands. They look like me, but much better. They got great hair, and they're wearing a polo that says like South Lake Country Club. They all look like they just got off the course teaching widows how to make a nice little pass at the ball. Swear to God they do. Swear to God. But anyway, Desmond Bain has been great. Not good, great in the NBA. So you're right. A lot of you guys on this, shoot, there you go. We have a thing among my people. We have a thing with Jody Shelton and Big Z McSteel, Nick Chaplin, all the guys on the YouTube chat, where if you bet too much, it's a DoorDash bet. So Jody Shelton says, yeah, no door dashing for me. And what it is last year I lost $4,000 in one day. Most I've ever lost, most I ever will lose. On the NCAA tournament, I woke up in a cold sweat at 5:30 in the morning. I looked over at the lovely Lee Ross Dakich. I said, I got to pay the family back. She said, go to sleep, dummy. I got up. I went down to the local hardware store, true story, to try to get a job. I owed people money. I owed my family money. Long story short, my stepson told me about Uber Eats and door dashing. I got in the car, signed up, started door dashing. That's how I paid my $4,000. I don't recommend losing $4,000 and then trying to pay it back. Door dashing's a pain in the ass. Took me about 6 months, 4 months, whatever it was. And I door dashed a lot. Don't do it. But once in a while, we got to make a DoorDash bet. All right, let's talk. It is midweek. It is time. Ladies and gentlemen, we should have a big to-do. It's time for the roundup. Joe Judge fired yesterday. This is interesting to me. Our media wants people fired when our media wants people fired. I read a couple guys say, well, you know, it's a day too late. Why is it a day too late? Maybe the owner had a bar mitzvah. Maybe the owner had a lunch. Maybe the owner and the general manager, they don't have a general manager, but maybe the people in charge had something scheduled. Why is it a day too late? And what difference does it make? What difference does it make when you fire a guy? Can somebody please tell me? What difference? They evaluate. In fact, I respect more people that take their time. I respect more people that say, hey, wait a second. Hold on here. Let's have a look. Let's make sure we're doing the right thing. Let's make damn sure that when we fire this guy, we have our ducks in a row. So Joe Judge, listen to this. He's the third straight coach of the New York Football Giants to be fired after 2 seasons. That's unbelievable to me. If I'm Joe Judge, I got to tell you, I don't take that personal. Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, I don't take it personal because that is an insanely poorly run organization. And the truth of the matter is, they had a chance not to be. You know, they had a chance to draft a quarterback. They got Daniel Jones. It's not like some of these other teams that didn't have a chance to draft a quarterback. They had a chance. They drafted Daniel Jones after Eli Manning. It's amazing what happens when you move on from great quarterbacks. So many of you can't wait to move on. Can't wait to move on from a really good quarterback. You can't. Man, here in Indy, you knew you were getting Andrew Luck, so you got rid of Peyton Manning. All Peyton Manning did after a couple neck surgeries was go to 2 Super Bowls and win 1. I know what you're going to say. Yeah, but he wasn't the reason they won. Yeah, he was. I'll tell you why Peyton Manning was the reason. Because when Peyton Manning walks into the building, everybody sits up straight. Everybody, from the scouts to the vice president to the president, Elway, everybody sits up straight and does their job better. It's what Tom Brady did in Tampa. When the Colts were looking for a quarterback last year, 2 years ago, and they ended up with Phillip Rivers, which was fine, I said the only guy, if you really want to keep winning, is get Tom Brady. Why? Tom Brady makes everybody stand up straight. Tom Brady makes everybody in the organization in Tampa do their job better. They do. Guys like that do. Phillip Rivers not bad. Phillip Rivers respected, but he ain't Tom Brady. Peyton Manning did the same damn thing in Denver. Daniel Jones had that chance. The Giants had that chance. He just not good enough. He just not where it's at. So at the end of the day, Joe Judge gets fired. Now, Joe Judge brought a little on himself. I mean, the sneak 3rd and 9 or whatever it was, all the talk. I mean, look, I told you 2 days ago, all that talking Joe Judge did last week, I told you that's just an attempt to save his job. That's just an attempt to seem like they had an operation that was moving forward. Well, they weren't. They knew it, and they got rid of it. But I'm telling you, if I were a New York Giant fan, you can criticize Joe Judge all you want. You can criticize Ben McAdoo all you want. You can criticize Pat Shurmur all you want. But what's the common thread? All these clowns in the front office. Now, Gettleman's gone, so we'll see. But how about you just go get a football guy? Just go get a football guy to run the operation. My God. Ryan Grigson should be the guy. I'm telling you, I'm going to keep promoting this because he'll win for you. And I don't give a shit what anybody says. The only thing you want to do in the NFL is win. You're not trying to develop character. Look, you got to do stuff in the community anyway. It's not like you're not going to do it. All the social justice stuff is wonderful, but you got to win. The NFL is 17, 18 weekends, 17 games over 18 weekends, 1 game a week. College basketball, you could lose yesterday on a Tuesday and win on Saturday, and everybody's happy. The NFL and college football, man, you got to win, period. And all this other stuff don't mean nothing. I'll get into that and what I mean by that in a minute here. That's exactly right, Nick Chaplin. It's exactly right. Joe Judge was trying to save his job by double talk. I did it at Bowling Green. Shoot, when I knew that, because of injury, I'll coach the shit out of something. I'll go down swinging on that one. But I had football players. I had 3 of my best players gone 5 years out of 10. 2 of my best players gone 7 years out of 10. When I knew the end was near, man, all of a sudden I was talking. I was showing letters from former players. You try to save your job. And I'm so glad they ended up letting me go, or my contract ran out, depending how you want to spin it, because here I am, and this has been a much better life. But damn, the Giants are horse shit. Let's be honest. I mean, they're terrible. And it ain't the coach. It's the organization. Nothing better than post-championship hangover. There's nothing better. When we won the national championship in '87, I ended up getting cuffed and thrown in the back seat of a New Orleans police car getting ready to be heading downtown, which would not have been good for me. Cuffed. Post-championship celebration. Thankfully, a federal judge was with my brother. They saw me and they got me out of it, or I don't know how my life would have turned out. Stetson Bennett showed up on Good Morning America, and I applaud Stetson Bennett. Did he look hungover or what? Why not? Hey, I don't give a damn what all you phony-ass Puritan-type people think. You win a championship, you put that much into it, don't break any laws, and have yourself a great frickin' time. In fact, the next morning, after the national championship, Coach Knight and the team bus left me and Murray Bartow. It's a long story. I'll tell it sometime on the show. But when you win a championship, woo, baby, let's rock and roll. And Stetson Bennett looked like 10 miles of bad road. I'll never forget Urban Meyer's first championship. I called him to congratulate him. He's like, hey, dude, thanks. I go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm doing a show. I go, you want to come on my show? He goes, yeah, here. So right after the championship, he came on my show. Now, Urban doesn't really drink, but he was up late. You got to be up late. Salute, Stetson Bennett. I hope the party continues, man. I hope the party does not stop with Stetson Bennett. It's a great freaking story. Paul Tyson, you know who that is? He's the great-great-grandson of Bear Bryant. Paul Tyson is a backup quarterback at Alabama. He just put his name in the transfer portal. I just thought that was funny. I got my Bear Bryant hat. All of a sudden, Paul Tyson, great-great-grandson of Bear Bryant, shows up in the transfer portal from Alabama. I like it. I like it a lot. Fauci, our guy Fauci shows up in front of a committee, and he ends up on a hot mic calling a senator, Roger Marshall, who, by the way, is a doctor. He's a Republican senator out of Kansas, a moron. Look, I feel bad in certain ways for Fauci. I feel bad in certain ways for us. Why is it so effing difficult for people just to tell us the truth? Why is it so difficult for anybody to say, hey, this virus was started in a lab in Wuhan, China? Why is that difficult? It seems like everybody knows. It seems like there isn't anybody in this country, but it seems like because you say it's from China, that's racist. That's asinine. That's just stupid. Why do we have to lie about these things? Fauci's making $400,000 a year. They want to know what his finances are. Seems reasonable to me because if you're in his position, you have a chance. And oh, by the way, you wouldn't be the first Politico that used his position of influence to make a shit ton of money. How's Obama living in that house, by the way, after a life of public service? Please, don't at me, people. Yeah, I know, big advance on a book. Right, fine, whatever you say. But the truth of the matter is we're so tired, aren't we? Aren't we a little tired of all this political bullshit? Why can't somebody just come out and say, look, I don't give a damn if some freak on the left or some freak on the right's going to call me a racist. Here's where the damn virus started. I don't give a damn if some freak on the left or some freak on the right wants to know. I'll tell you if I'm in a position to tell you. Look, I always believe there's a backstory. I don't believe a damn thing that any politician says. I don't believe a damn thing that Fauci says anymore because, frankly, you can show emails, you can show old tweets, texts, whatever, where everybody in this whole thing is full of shit. And I got to ask why. Why do we put up with it? Tell me why. Fauci calls a sitting senator a moron. I got no problem with that. I'm sitting under the hot lights. I got all these people coming at me. I'm trying to bullshit my way through this for the 100th time. And I turn and I say, oh, that guy's a moron. I would too. I don't give a shit about that. What I give a damn about is it possible to actually tell the truth? Where'd the virus come from? Came from a lab in Wuhan. How's that racist? Explain. And who cares if some jackass on the left or some jackass on the right says it is? I don't care. This is where it came from. As a public servant, you have the obligation to disclose your finances. You know that going in. So disclose. Trump, tax return, sure he should have. I mean, if you are in the business and you know the rules, then just simply do it, unless you're hiding something. And they're all hiding something. Like, I don't give a shit about whether Fauci tells me I can have somebody over my house or not. I'm not listening to that. I'm not. But I tell you what I want. I want to be able to look at the guy running this thing, and I want to be looking at the people on the committee and know that all these people aren't just full of shit, lying, backstabbing, posing MFers. That's what I want to know. And I don't look at some senator. We always say this. Well, it's a sitting senator. Shut up. There's a great email, and it was years ago, about all the crimes that these clowns have committed. You know, when you see a guy run for election, well, I'm one of you. They always go like this. I'm one of you. All of a sudden, we can't call a sitting senator. The guy who should have been fired was Adrian Wojnarowski, if we're going to get all excited about that, when he told the one dude to F off. But that was just more of how the NBA media is totally in pocket with the NBA. That wasn't anything other than that. But the truth of the matter is, I look at Fauci and I say to myself, just simply tell the truth. The truth doesn't change, all right? You don't go from here to here, back to here to there. What you're telling us, certainly the facts may change, but the truth doesn't change. And if the argument is, what are you making off of this? If you're not making anything off of this, if you're doing what you signed up to do as a civil servant, then it should not be an issue at all to disclose your finances. You shouldn't even have to be asked. You should just understand, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I'm supposed to do it. That's it. Period. It ain't that hard. Because all these guys stand up and at 1 point or 10 points in their life, they all say, I'm here to serve. Well, part of serving is playing by the rules of servitude. And they lay it out for you. Disclose your finances. You making money? That wouldn't be right. That would be a conflict of interest. It's not that difficult. I think, as you all know, I'm not the smartest dude here. But I do have some common sense. And I will tell you, just tell the effing truth. Be an honest human being. I'm not saying be a perfect human being, but be an honest human being. Drives me batshit crazy. Every time one of these guys gets up and they start doing the Bill Clinton, why the hell do you think people voted for Trump? Why the hell do you think all this bullshit had to come into the last election? Why the hell do you think all of a sudden now, liberals are starting to say, wait a second, you can actually come into the hospital with something else and have COVID, not in the hospital because of COVID. Why do you think CNN is all of a sudden saying, well, you know, obesity does enhance your chances of COVID? No shit, Sherlock. Why do you think all that's happening? Because the truth is starting to come out. And people that have been lying, whether they're conservative or whether they're liberal, are starting to get exposed. And it's going to affect their power. It's going to affect where they at in the midterm elections. Son of a bitch, don't we as American people just simply deserve truth? Hey, I don't want to know everything that's going on in wars. I don't want to know every attack that Homeland Security thwarts. I don't need to know that. That would have me off my rocker. But when it comes to public health, how about we just tell the truth? Period. And if you signed up to be a civil servant, how about you just disclose what it is you're supposed to disclose? And play by the rules of being a civil servant. And if you want to call a senator a moron, I could give a shit. If the senator wants to call you a moron, I don't care either. Because that's the way I talk in real life. See, the last thing, and I got to get this off my chest. You all think it's impossible to rig an election. Welcome to Northwest Indiana. I'll never forget when a friend of my dad's came to our house and tried to sign up the empty lot next to ours. And my dad's like, yo, Roland. Baby. They own it, not us. So my dad's buddy had a Cuddy Sark, and then went next door. This a good friend of mine still in hiding in Greece. Not in hiding. He's living in Greece because he got convicted of election rigging in East Chicago. Don't even try to tell me these things aren't rigged. Don't even try. You're talking to the wrong person. You're absolutely talking to the wrong person. All this crap. How about we just elect honest people? And how about we not afraid? How about both sides of the craziness decide, look, we're just going to ask you, what the hell are you doing with your money? You making any money off this that you shouldn't be making? And if you are, tell us. If you're not, fine. If you lie, get your ass in jail. I live a simple life. I was going to get into Ben Simmons. Is Ben Simmons even alive? Is Ben Simmons even around? Beats the hell out of me. All right, we're going to come back. What the hell am I talking about next? Oh, I got a rundown right here. Head coaches openings. Man, I'm going to tell you who is going to go where in my world. In my world, these are the hires that should be made in the NFL. And I think they're going to be pretty close to the truth. Now, they're all going to get interviewed for these positions that I'm going to give you. Stay with me right here. Just tell us the freaking truth. I don't give a damn you call a senator a moron. But the dude is a doctor. Wasn't like the guy Marshall was an idiot. Guys are nuts. We'll be back. Hey, welcome back. It's Dan Dakich here with Don't At Me. If you're a first-time listener, watcher, thank you. I am this handsome in person. Yes, I am, and there's no makeup on this face. Couple of things. Let's be honest. Lot of head coaching openings. And let's review, all right? Giants head coach open. Vikings head coach open. Jaguars head coach open. Bears head coach open. Dolphins head coach open. Raider head coach open. Broncos head coach open. Now let me get into something here. The idea that Brian Flores being fired is racist is complete garbage. And I think we're all tired of it. First, Chris Greer is an African-American that made the decision. Greer's been with the place for 22 years. Look, be careful what you wish for in the world. There's a great scene, Tracy Jordan in 30 Rock, where he all of a sudden realizes, hey man, equality ain't that great. Wait a second. So you got to decide, do you want equal or do you want equal but special treatment? Because look, if you want equal treatment and you're Brian Flores and you've been there 3 years and you haven't gone to the playoffs and you went down in wins and apparently you're awful within the building, then you're going to get fired if things are all equal. Now, do you want equal but special? Which apparently is what a lot of people want. Hey, treat us equal, but give us special consideration. Well, if you want that, then just let us know. But the truth of the matter is, Brian Flores being fired from the Miami Dolphins had absolutely nothing to do with race. Nothing. Zero. Zip. It had to do with the guy who was a pain in the ass inside the Dolphins organization, and the general manager who had been there 22 years and understands what he wants, 6 years as a general manager, and oh, by the way, is an African American, got tired of it. I mean, that's the way the world works. It's no different than when I used to tell Coach Knight at Indiana after he berate our athletic director, I go, Coach, that dude's got an ego too. And if he gets a chance to fire your ass, he's going to fire your ass. So is the president. So I get a kick out of everything having to do with race. I get it. There are guys like Mike Freeman of the USA Today. There are all kind of guys that can't wait. All the clowns over at Deadspin, they can't wait to spin everything as race. This had nothing to do with race. This had everything to do, and I mean everything, to do with equality. You want to be an ass in the building? You want to not win enough? You get your ass fired. It's as old as Adam and Eve. So all this, hey, it's racial. Hey, black coaches are treated worse. No, they're not. No, they're not. I got so many stories how Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent butt into the hiring and get people hired that should have never been hired in the first place, or certainly interviewed that never should be interviewed in the first place. I get it. It's the easy thing to say. We all get it. We all totally understand. There are people out there that have seen what has happened when you become a race baiter, when you make everything about race. You get rich. You just do. We've seen it. So everybody's taking their swing. And there are certainly cases in this country where race has played a part in people being fired, people being dehumanized. We see it. But when you're talking about somebody that is fired from an NFL coaching job that in 3 years has never been into the playoffs, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. It wouldn't surprise me. This is the way the NFL works. It wouldn't surprise me if it worked claiming racists with the Miami Dolphins firing. I wouldn't be surprised if it worked. Roger Goodell and Troy Vincent, they want you to hire women. They want you to hire African Americans. Hell, if little people get involved, they'll want you to hire whoever. And that's great. Good for them. But when you are a general manager or you're a head coach, you know what you're trying to hire? The guys that you want around you to help you win, period. Had nothing to do with race. But the people that are trying to make money off of this, the people that have nothing else to say, the people that are trying to make themselves look great, hell, they'll talk about this no matter what. It wouldn't surprise me if the NFL told New York, hey, you got to think about firing Joe Judge. It's getting hot. Wouldn't surprise me. That's how the NFL views it. They're always trying to appease. But Chris Grier being, I think it's racist to assume that Chris Grier is racist. Chris Grier, like everybody else in those positions, man, hey, he'll hire somebody from frickin' my backyard if he thinks he's the best person. He'll hire me if he thought I was the best person to get wins, because wins are all that matter in the NFL. To the coaches, to the brass, diversity, you got to have all that stuff. But to coaches, are you kidding me? To general managers, win. Why? You don't, you lose. So there's that. Let me go through the openings. Jim Harbaugh, perfect fit in Chicago. And Jim Harbaugh seems to me like the kind of guy that would like that fit. I'm hearing from people that I know that there are back channels going on with Harbaugh. Now, you got to understand, it may never happen. It may never get out. But would it surprise me? No, and I think he would be the perfect hire for the Chicago Bears. He's done well in the NFL. The Bears are his former team. He likes being perceived as this gritty, all that kind of stuff guy. I think it'd be the perfect fit. Look, if the Jacksonville Jags don't hire Byron Leftwich, then something is wrong in the interview process with Byron Leftwich. Because I got to believe, based on what Byron Leftwich has done, his history with the Jags, he's got his offensive mindset, his quarterback coaching. Now, what are you trying to coach in Jacksonville? You're trying to coach Trevor Lawrence. He's the future. He's the guy. Troy Vincent wanted Urban to hire a guy that never coached a quarterback. Never. You can't do that. They had him interview a guy that literally never even coached. Why? You know why. No. Hire Byron Leftwich. He gives you, let me tell you something. I don't know what's going to happen. Jacksonville has been a horse bleep franchise, one winning season in 14 years. But you got this young quarterback. You got a guy in Leftwich who works with quarterbacks. You got a guy in Leftwich who's an icon there. You got a guy in Leftwich that has been an offensive coordinator. Hire the guy, get it done with, and forget about it. It's the simplest hire in the NFL. The Broncos, I got to change this. Eric Bieniemy and Brian Daboll should be the two finalists. And if I'm the Broncos and I can handle the heat that comes with a situation that happened years ago for Eric Bieniemy, I got to hire Eric Bieniemy. If I can't, I got to hire Brian Daboll. I got to hire an offensive guy. I got quarterbacks that can't play. I got to figure out a scheme. I got to figure out an offense. I got to figure out a way to work with guys that gets us some wins. Swear to God, we got to if we're Denver. Now, Eric Bieniemy was a star running back at the University of Colorado. Sometimes it's not that great to go home because people knew how you were back then. But I think this is a perfect fit. I think Eric Bieniemy should be the guy. Now, I got Brian Daboll up there, but last night I read, and rightfully so, that Eric Bieniemy is going to accept an interview with the Broncos. He should be the guy. Same reason. Offensive mind, has history in the place on a team that needs offensive awareness and an offensive coach. You just had a defensive coach. Apparently it didn't work. Vic Fangio gone. I'm hiring Eric Bieniemy, and if Bieniemy isn't the fit, then I'm going with Brian Daboll, who is the offensive coordinator of the Bills. That seems easy to me. Minnesota. Got to tell you, if Brian Flores learns not to be a pain in the ass, apparently inside of the locker room, then I got to think about hiring Brian Flores. It just didn't work with Mike Zimmer to the extent they wanted it to. Mike Zimmer, defensive guy. Flores, I guess, defensive guy. Hell, I don't know. But I feel like this is a very good fit. I feel like there's a toughness to Flores that Minnesota needs. Zimmer had it without question. But you know what? That had run its course. I think Flores would be a perfect fit in Minnesota. I do. I'm sure there's other guys. I'm sure I'm missing other guys. But to me, Flores just feels right in Minnesota. The toughness, the grit, that division, I don't know. When I see a guy trying to look tough on the sideline, first thing I do is I laugh. Second thing I do is say, you shouldn't be in Miami. You should be in the NFC Central or whatever the hell they call it. I think Flores would be a good fit. Ryan Grigson, I keep talking about Ryan Grigson. Ryan Grigson is going to get interviews. Ryan Grigson should interview for the Giants job. Here's what would happen if Ryan Grigson became the general manager of the New York Football Giants. Here's what would happen. First things first, the media would get mad. Second thing second, Grigson would put his head down and go to work. Third thing, they would win. It's that simple. Grigson's teams in Indianapolis went 16-0 against folks in the division. It broke a record set by the 1972 Dolphins. He did it with 5 different quarterbacks. Grigson took 2 guys off the street when they were all banged up. Remember Josh Freeman? Do you remember him? I'm sure you don't remember Ryan Lindley. They needed to win a game at the end of the year. They were so banged up, but they were still competitive, and it came down to the last 2 games. They lost the second to last. Came down to the last game, and you go 500. Grigson brings these 2 guys off the street to quarterback, and they win. I'm telling you right now, at some point, an NFL team that wants to bring back its culture, the culture of toughness, the culture of putting your damn head down and going to work, is going to hire Ryan Grigson. Giants or Minnesota would be a perfect fit for that. Chicago would be the best fit, but Bill Polian was so jealous of early Ryan Grigson's success, taking over for Polian in Indianapolis, that Bill Polian was a complete jackass to Ryan Grigson over the course of his time in Indy, to the point where they wouldn't even speak to Grigson, Polian and his people. Jealousy's a bitch. And Polian is in charge, or one of the people in charge, of what's going on with the general manager's job with the Bears. There ain't a chance in hell that Polian could suck up his ego and say, you know what? Grigson took a 2-14 mess that Polian left and turned it around and went 11-5 in 1 year, went 52-34 with 6 different quarterbacks, 6-3 without Andrew Luck, made the playoffs with Matt Hasselbeck, smart enough to understand the backup position, smart enough to understand drafting T.Y. Hilton and the rest, Vic Ballard, who got hurt, and having the number 1 yards ever gained by a draft class. If they were smart, they would do that. But they won't. Because these teams that are in this position, particularly the New York Football Giants, give a shit about what the media think. There's a saying in coaching: he who pays attention to fans and media sits with fans and media. True story. You're right, Ryan Black. I don't care if a guy's a pain in the ass. I just care if he does things honestly and wants to win. That's all I care about when I talk about the NFL. All right, I ain't mad about it. I ain't mad about it. Look, I'm a huge Alabama football fan because I went down there and I loved it. All right, loved it. Alabama, Georgia, came up to Indy. Big game, right? National championship game. Look, here's the deal. Before the game, everyone was awesome. I mean happy. I mean drinking, salute, singing songs. Fantastic. After the game. After the game is when things got a little sexy. After the game, the ladies and gentlemen, I do include ladies in this, of Alabama, got mad. Started fighting all over downtown Indy. I had my people on the streets. Now, you got to understand, man, I was in bed. I was in bed. But I got my people out there. I got a lot of people that were out really late in downtown Indy. Yesterday, I'm talking with them. They're like, hey, every fight that was started in downtown Indy was started by an Alabama fan. And there were a lot, like all over the place. Alabama fans, I salute you for your enthusiasm. I salute you for not rioting. But damn, come on. What are you talking about? Don't be brawling downtown Indy. We're happy people. We'll shoot you. The murder rate out of control. We ain't afraid. But damn, I ain't mad at you for it. It shows a passion. What can I tell you? All I know. Why are we brawling? You lost. Here's what you do when you lose. You buy the other team a drink. What are you getting mad about, Skippy? What are you getting mad about, Biff? What are you mad about? You didn't play. You came down. You saw a great city. You went to a fantastic game. Your team is the best program in the history of college football. Don't be mad about it. Buy him a drink. Salute. Next time you're here, get some Schlevo. It's Serbian gasoline. Take my word for it. Here's something else I ain't mad about. Same thing. Downtown Indy. Downtown Indy has been an absolute hellhole. We got a mayor that don't show up. We got a mayor that was dumb enough to let people riot. Don't tell me protest. Started out as a protest, ended up as a riot. I went downtown after the riots a couple summers ago and helped clean up. I bought food for people that were cleaning up. I bought food for first responders. It was a frickin' riot. Our mayor, by all accounts, was absent and told the police to stand down. Stupidest decision in Indianapolis history. Why? Because the downtown 2 years later ain't close to coming back. We try to trick you. We put up fancy portraits on the side of buildings that used to house businesses. You don't notice when you come to our city. You don't. Murder rate through the roof. People literally doing drugs right on the circle and taking a dump. We had to put in the parking garage that I park in, we had to put in cameras, true story, in the parking lot because our owner, Jeff Smolian, somebody was taking dumps next to his car. The next day, cameras everywhere. Indy has become a shithole, but it's symptomatic of democratic cities. Look it up. It isn't even political. It's fact. And I'm not a Democrat or Republican. I just pay attention. Having said that, because the championship game was here, I ain't mad about a 4-hour wait at the Yard House, a restaurant, a chain restaurant that is located in downtown Indianapolis. I told you this story yesterday. I'm on the air. My wife, her daughter Tegan, her friends, all Harvard softball players, they're downtown. They're having a blast. Sam Hunt's playing a concert. People are dancing. They're jumping into piles of stuff because there's all these little things set up. Everybody's having a blast. Lee says, hey, I'm going to get us a seat at the Yard House. We'll have a beer after. We'll get a Sando. It'll be good. Text comes in. Hey, Dan, 4-hour wait at the Yard House. Why am I clapping? Why ain't I mad about it? I'll tell you why I ain't mad about it. That means people are spending money downtown Indy. Yes, I can find another place to go, and we did. A great spot. It's called The Garage. It's by a hotel called Bottle Works. You'll love it. All kind of great food. People don't really know about it, but they should. Maybe the deep state just got me. I don't know. But anyway, so we go there. We have a great time. I ain't mad about a 4-hour wait once in a while in Indy. I ain't mad about it. I won't be mad about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I normally don't care about. But I was listening to Howard Stern yesterday, and he started talking about Britney Spears. Now, full disclosure, I don't know. Somebody sent me a picture of Britney Spears posing on Instagram where she's naked. And she's got stuff covering up in all the places that probably should cover up on Instagram. So I got interested. What's Britney Spears up to? Well, I turned on Howard Stern on my ride home. And Britney Spears, freed of her father's, conservativeness or whatever, is now free to post naked pictures of herself. Did you know that Britney Spears, listen to this, had to go 10 hours a day, 7 days a week of counseling, of therapy. Now, I'm not sure I believe that. And Howard Stern said it, so I guess I'll believe it. He is the king of all media, by the way. She wasn't allowed to have a phone. She wasn't allowed to have a phone. And frankly, by not having, and when she did have a phone, she was only allowed to call certain numbers, couldn't touch her money. This is all due to her father. Now, look, I don't know. Britney Spears acted a little crazy a few years ago. She married some dude after knowing him for an afternoon. She got out of a car, she shaved her head, got out of a car with no panties on. Raise your hand if you haven't done that. I mean, come on. But now Britney Spears is apparently free. And Britney Spears being free means more naked shots on Instagram. I'm not going to lie to you. I feel sorry for Britney Spears. Not sure why I'm talking about her other than I feel sorry for her. I've never been a Britney Spears fan. I was too old to put a Britney Spears poster. I remember the first time I knew who Britney Spears was. I was at my friend Greg Bozak's house, and I was sleeping in his son's room, and I looked, and there's a picture, and it's Britney Spears. I go, who's that? He goes, Britney Spears. I go, who's that? Singer. Oh, okay. I haven't paid attention to Britney Spears, but damn, as a father of a daughter, I understand protecting your little girl. I mean, look, my daughter, when something goes wrong, like when we had movers come to our house and they stole her money, who does she call? She calls her dad. You're the great protector. I would be really curious to know what went on behind the scenes with Britney Spears. I'm glad she's free based on what I heard from Stern. But I'm also thinking to myself, well, if free means that you are going to pose full frontal nudity on Instagram, maybe we ought to at least have some parameters on freedom. I don't know why you got to do that. Let me get into that for a second. I was on the beach a few weeks ago, and some girl, I don't know how old she was standing in the middle of freezing water with her ass in a thong going like this for about 10 minutes. We quickly realized that when she ran back and clicked off her camera, she was a social media influencer. Good for her. If you can make money standing in the water, in a thong, showing your ass, going like this, God bless America. We say this is a bad country? This is the greatest country ever. Think about how you can make money. Right now, sitting in my basement with a black background, I'm making more money doing this than I did at ESPN. What a country. Some 20-something-year-old girl can be in a thong, looking in the surf, going like this, have a remote camera that was developed to do just that. And she's making money. God bless America. I high-five it. Stop your bitching and start enjoying the little things in life. Like Britney Spears being free. Yeah, I know. I know that Howard Stern has gone completely out of his mind woke. I get it, but I still love Stern. I love Stern. Rick Smith, he's gone completely woke. When he goes too woke, I turn the channel. He lost his mind on Aaron Rodgers. I turn the channel. But I'm always drawn back to Stern. Don't know? I just am. Dan, did you say it was a bad country? No. This is the greatest country in the world. Quit bitching about it, Nathan. It's the greatest country ever. No, I didn't kill the green screen, Jody. It goes out after an hour. And when I talk about things that the deep state, the oligarchy doesn't want me to talk about, that's what happens. Hey, we're going to come back. Allison Williams is going to join us. I got a whole list of stuff to ask her, but I'm going to ask her about Britney, bitch, and see what's going on. Britney isn't free. I'm not free. It's simple, says Jesse Wickens. Right on, baby. Sure you're not free. Free, free, free Britney, bitch. We'll be back. Allison, I apologize. Allison Williams joins me. I already apologized to you. I keep saying I went upstairs to get my headphones, and all I kept saying was, "It's Britney, bitch." My wife's like, "You're gonna say it all day," so I already apologize.
I love it.
Sorry.
I'm gonna take that energy into this Wednesday. But you have to. Your enthusiasm is too high. There's too much joy. It needs to be. I need a little more like raspy, sexy. It's Britney, bitch. Edge from you.
It's Britney,
it's
bitch.
Britney, bitch.
I don't have it good. I want to do it like Coco Bond. It's Britney, bitch.
It's Britney, bitch. It all works, actually. I do too.
I saw Britney Spears all of a sudden is half naked.
I know.
Or no, she's fully naked.
I mean, she had on like socks and yeah, she's fully naked.
Yeah, and then I listened to Stern yesterday, and Stern's lost his mind on the vaccine and all that, but I still like, and he was going through all the stuff that Britney Spears' dad was doing, and I'm like, holy shit. Like,
it's insane. It's insane. Like the whole conservatorship idea is pretty crazy to think about, right? Like that somebody doesn't have the right to do as they please with the money they've earned, their body, who they want to marry, all these things. And then the way that this movement began, it was kind of like a social media. Her fans were all really bothered by this. And there was like this Netflix special, and there was all these weird like external factors that I felt like put pressure on the system to kind of reevaluate this. And so you have all these people who are rallying around her and fighting for her to get her freedom back and stuff. And then what does she do? She like goes and posts herself naked on Instagram, and you're like, okay, wait a minute. There's something.
Maybe father does know best.
Yeah,
I
but
don't know.
but that.
No, I agree. No,
that whole family, man. Fame does crazy shit to people.
You know, I've said this, and you know, obviously you're a daughter. I've said this, like whether my daughter. You know, she does her own thing. She's 25 years old. But I know this, when something wrong happens, I get the call and I'm the protector. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't imagine being the oppressor.
No. But I think people become so warped that the oppressor thinks that they're protector. It's kind of funny. It's almost like what's going on in our society right now.
Go ahead, expound.
Isn't that interesting? Yes. The all of a sudden the person who you think is protecting you is actually oppressing you because suddenly they know what's better for you than you do. It's funny how when you lose your autonomy, that's kind of what happens. And I feel that it was interesting to see the people who were so supportive of Britney getting her freedom back and ending this conservatorship. And they talked about how she doesn't even have the right to like control her own reproductive rights, her birth control. Like they had like an IUI in her and all these, or IUD, IUD in her. And she couldn't choose who she wanted to marry. Like all these basic principles and rights that I think are intrinsic as a human, and they were taken away from her. And I thought, how odd, like you don't see that that's kind of what people with the medical autonomy and the freedom community are fighting for as well. And that's the right to decide what happens to and with their bodies. But everybody was totally rallying behind this Free Britney. But the other side, which is a very similar argument, had become so politicized and divided. And there are things that I think are very similar between what happened with Britney and her family and what's happening with the American people and the American government.
Well, you felt that firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
You felt wrath when you made your decision to leave.
I still do.
Do you?
Oh, yeah. All the time. Like people have arguments on my Instagram account under pictures of my son. I'm like, get a life. It's so bizarre.
What's the argument? You know, you're hurting other people by not
like I'm
getting
killing their
vaxxed
grandmother. I'm selfish is the number one thing.
Yeah,
I hear that all the time, which to me is the worst and least valid argument you could possibly make. But that's the way they have been programmed to think about this. And when you use the word vaccine, there's this connotation of like a community responsibility, and you're helping others by preventing yourself from getting the infection. But by that definition, this product isn't a vaccine, right? I mean, it doesn't stop transmission. It doesn't stop infection. So, but the connotations that they have associated with that word are like, you do it for other people, which we're seeing is not the case with this. But anyway, there's still vitriol. There's still a ton of hate. People wishing ill will on myself and my family. I mean, it's sad. I wish people could get back to kind of like a place more of love and acceptance and empathy and treating people like humans again, which I think is ultimately like, that's what Britney wanted. She just wanted to be treated like a normal human.
Well, raise your hand if you haven't married a guy in 10 minutes or you haven't, hey, look.
Yeah, she did some crazy shit.
Hey, I've fallen out of a car with no underwear on. Why are we upset about that? Tell me Sinatra didn't do that back in the day. Are you kidding me?
Why do you have to say that right when I'm drinking my coffee?
But I want to go back to something here because for those of you that don't know, Allison left ESPN. She was the #1 sideline reporter / host at ESPN. She made a conscious decision for her life, her family, to have more kids and not get the vaccine, not because she's trying to hurt anybody, but simply because you and I have talked. There's just not a whole lot of information, and I've had doctors tell me the same thing. The only reason I got vaccinated, I'll tell you quite frankly, is because I got to work. I couldn't go into the office. We just had a lady named Mock, who's a very good broadcaster, just left our station for a variety of reasons, one of which was that. Let me ask you, let me go into this with you real quick. We have this new virus. Fauci is in front of a congressional deal. I said earlier today, I said, look, if you're going to be a public servant, and to be an honest one, like don't try to hide, don't try to distort. There's nothing wrong with saying if a virus came from Wuhan, China, say it came from Wuhan, freaking China. Like, why do we have this? Why are we trying to be so secretive about things that should be the easiest thing? Virus came from where? Your money is come from where? These are simple things to answer if we're going to be honest. Why is it so hard?
Well, I'm going to take a page out of Dr. Malone's book and say it's hard to answer the why because that requires getting into someone's brain, which we obviously cannot do. You can only, kind of draw conclusions from evidence that is there and track records that are there. So I don't know what any of his motives are. Obviously, there are certainly a lot of indications that there was involvement with the NIH and the NIAID it comes to the funding of what was going on with the gain of function research in Wuhan. There's a long track record of Fauci being heavily invested in this and this type of research. It was clear that the U.S. government wanted it shut down. They didn't want it going on in our country. What happened from there, I think everybody is still kind of trying to uncover. I watched some of his hearing the other day with Rand Paul and a few others. And it's interesting how different he becomes when he is presented with difficult questions versus the questions that the mainstream media likes to levy at him on a day-to-day basis, show upon show. I was home in Michigan, as you know, for a while. My parents have on the news all the time, which is so bizarre. Like my TV literally is not on all day. It's rarely on at night unless I'm specifically going to watch something. So I started to see again what I saw in the beginning of 2020. And this is the cycle of the propaganda that is on repeat over and over. And just the lack of journalistic integrity and ability anymore by every single pundit on every single channel. And it was driving me nuts. I looked at my dad. I'm like, how are you still watching this from these people? Because he's still, my dad and thankfully my mom are pretty aware of like what's going on. They haven't been brainwashed, even though they have it on repeat in their house. And I was just blown away that like people watch this stuff and they think it's news and they don't see that there's no difficult questions being asked. There's no challenges presented. There's no follow-ups. There's no pushing. There's no digging. It's all PR. It's all PR. And so then you watch Fauci when he is presented with some difficult stuff that he has to answer, and he goes super defensive and he turns it into how, he's getting threats on his life and threats on his family, which is terrible and not right. And how people like Rand Paul are pushing that narrative and feeding the crazies and all that stuff. I think there are a lot of things he has to answer for. I think the origin is the number one, and number two is why he didn't do more, let alone why he blocked, let alone just do more to like early treatments for this virus. There are a million things that I would ask Fauci, but none of them, unfortunately, are asked with anybody that ever gets a chance to sit down with them, except for in like those congressional settings.
It's stunning. Like I said earlier, I got really no problem. Fauci wants to call us a senator a moron. I mean, hell, yeah. If I'm under scrutiny, I turn to somebody and go, what a jack. I would say jackass, but that's, that's just, so I really don't have any problem with that. But my problem is, God dang, you sign up. Everybody talks about, I'm a civil servant. I'm here to serve. Okay. I gave my life to service. Then serve honestly. Honest to God. I mean, yeah. I know there's temptations.
But what do you do, Dan, when the honesty could potentially implicate you?
Well, don't do the stuff that implicates you going backwards. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I look at and this is the problem that I have in life, is that I look at things very simply. If I have a passion for this and I want to be this, then I have an obligation to do it right. Like I get killed still to this day for leaving West Virginia in 2002 because they were cheating their ass off. The president threatened me. But to this day, I got people, well, you're a coward. You're there. I'm going, no, I'm just not going to deal with people in bullshit. But I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. I know bullshit runs the world.
No, you're not wrong.
I do. And I know there's always a backstory that people are, trying to sneak their way in. I know this.
But I think people start there. I think people start in a spot that you're talking about, and they want to do good, and they want to affect positive change, and they want to be these civil servants, if you will. And then what happens is they start to play the game, and they realize, like you did in West Virginia, the way the game is played. And that's when things get difficult.
Then you have to make a choice.
Yes, you do. You do.
Like I had to make a choice. I was making $500,000 a year on a 7-year contract to go back to Bowling Green for 110. Mm-hmm. With a young family. Mm-hmm. And you had to make a choice.
Yeah, I did.
And it comes down to that. And the choice becomes, well, can I live with this, doing it this way? Or do I want to take a sacrifice, maybe financially and prestige-wise, because, you would have been on that stage the other day, and be able to live with myself. Yeah. And I think being able to live with yourself is the most important thing.
I think you're probably getting at exactly why I'm in the position I'm in. And I try not to act like I've taken some moral high ground or something like that. But
it's not a moral high ground. I think it's a sacrifice. And I think that like a guy like Fauci or a senator or whatever has a choice. Mm-hmm. Always comes down, something's presented to them that they know isn't right, but they are going to benefit from. Then you have that, then there's your moral choice.
Right. Yeah. And I think you justify it in your mind, like, well, this isn't that bad. And I can affect this positive change, and I'll do this if I do this. Right. So like, okay, this is wrong, but I'm going to take this funding. I'm going to take these kickbacks. I'm going to push this money this way for this grant. I'm going to fund this research, but it's okay because I'm also spending this money this way. And so they reconcile it within their minds.
There is no question, and that's about the easiest thing that you can do. Yeah. Man. You can make your mind believe anything you want. Mm-hmm. All right, let's talk a little football, shall we?
Yes, please.
Let's talk, what'd you think of the championship game?
Well, I was very wrong. Let me just start there. Completely wrong. I was thoroughly entertained. I thought it was a great game. I actually loved the low scoring, the field goals, the defensive, the grind it out. I could not believe how much better Georgia's defensive line played in general. And I just thought, like, wow, what a difference. And the way they set the tone from the beginning on that first Alabama possession and coming out and sacking Bryce Young and dang near having a scoop and score. And then all the way to the end when the game ended on a sack. And they didn't at all in the SEC championship game. And you knew it was a point of emphasis and focus. But really, how much of a difference is that going to make? I was super impressed with them defensively. And then Stetson Bennett. I mean, the way he responded after that fumble, I was so impressed because that to me spoke volumes about, that was like kind of the microcosm of what this kid has gone through. Like you get knocked down and you get back up and you put it behind you and you push ahead. So I'm really happy for Kirby Smart and the Georgia program. I mean, 40 years is a long time to go without a national title. I know it meant a lot to him being having played there and stuff. And Bryce Young obviously lost a lot of weapons around him, but happy for Georgia. I thought it was a great game and a great end to the season.
What kind of guy is Kirby Smart? You've covered him. Kirby's
a good guy. He's very Saban-esque, right? Like, so he's very all about ball. He's very serious on game day. Like the Kirby Smart you meet with on Friday is very different than the Kirby Smart you're going to interview on Saturday. He's not a guy that is going to, chat you up on family and stuff pregame or be super laid back and whatnot, but he's professional. He's respectful. He's enjoyable to cover. I'll tell you that. Like I've always enjoyed working with him. He's not difficult. He doesn't, make your life unnecessarily difficult when it comes to getting interviews or access or stuff like that. But he is all business and he is all ball. And there are definitely aspects and characteristics that I think are similar to Saban. But he's I would say he's absolutely a guy.
What did you think? Because Herb Street got a lot of hell, and this always happens. This drives me nuts. Alabama fans mad at Herb Street. He's too one-sided. Oh, God. What did you think of the broadcast?
I thought it was a great broadcast. I thought My favorite part, and I don't know if I know you're kind of becoming a broadcast dork now, but I loved at the end how long they stayed on Stetson Bennett and the way they followed him and they reminded people of his story, right? Like that was really good storytelling at the end. There was so much emotion from him there. It was the culmination, the finale of this remarkable story. And so I thought they did a beautiful job of staying on him, telling that story, reminding people of the journey that got him here to this, to now becoming the national championship quarterback at Georgia, which I mean, I had his first start 2 years ago, and like I still can't believe that that's the kid that led them to a national championship. So I thought the broadcast was beautiful. I thought Holly and Molly did a terrific job. I thought Molly like nailed it in the pregame, talking about, you know, sacking Bryce Young and then the way that wove throughout the game and ended up being a huge part. I thought it was a great, really, really solid, clean broadcast.
You know what I thought was great, and you mentioned it. I thought the emotion, like sports, you know, I think personally, real folks in America, we're not a divided country. I think that externally, social media, we're so divided. But when you live life, and I live in a community where it's very diverse. You go to the Kroger, there's all kind of people. I thought you saw it on the sideline with Stetson Bennett, to your point. I thought, you know, hugging big old linemen, hugging people in suits, hugging coaches, guys, black, white, hugging. I mean, just the emotion of everybody. As you watched that sideline, I thought Derek Mobley and the crew did a great job making sure that was shown. And I think for me personally, I got goosebumps watching it because I'm like, that's what I see every day in our country. I see people that get along. I see the narrative that we don't. I see the narrative we're divided. But man, that's what I see every day.
Well,
that was great.
I agree. And I've always believed, and maybe it's just like the optimist in me or whatever you want to call it, but I've always believed that sports are a microcosm of society.
Always.
And those locker rooms, and you've been in more than I have, you know, they're as diverse as they come. And they prove time and time again that we can find a common purpose and a common goal that we can work together to achieve when we focus on what we have in common instead of what we have different. And yeah, I think that was a beautiful way to end the game. And I think we've almost, I go back and forth. Sometimes I watch sports. I'm like, okay, we're getting back to it. But I feel like at times we get so X and O heavy with sports coverage that we lose the human element that makes the majority of fans care about the games that we are watching. And we need to be reminded of that because there's such a pressure to fill time because we spend so much time now talking about individual games that you do get into a lot of the X's and O's, and that's fine. And entertaining and good in certain settings. But I think in the games themselves, we have to really remember that this is about humans and emotion and that connection and that drive and really showing that because there's so much emotion out on that field. That's why that game, like, it was hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was hard to watch.
Sure.
Because that
you'd have been out there. You'd have been on the stage.
I mean, I hope so. Yeah. Like in that, I remember what that felt like last year. And it was a toned down version of it because it was 2020 and there weren't as many fans. It wasn't sold out. There's way restricted access on the sidelines. There weren't all the cameras and the media and stuff. And it was such a special feeling knowing that what this was the culmination of. And then to see that back in full force was really cool Monday night, and to see it back the way it should be. And just knowing what that feels like, you know, pregame and leading up to it. And it's just special.
Yeah, I got to tell you, man, Indy was fired up about it. The fans were great. Everybody was jacked up. I watched last night. I couldn't believe this. I did not know this. USC and Stanford didn't have fans last night. Stanford's not allowing fans in their building. I'm looking at 60,000 people in Indianapolis, none wearing masks, slobbering all over each other, screaming, yelling, and Stanford's like, no, we're not. The world is nuts with this. Anyway, what are you looking forward to this weekend? It's wild card weekend. What are you looking forward to? You got anything you're looking forward to?
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna go Buffalo, New England, because I love me a cold game, and I just think it'll be so fun if Buffalo can pull that off. And
what's a better story? Let me ask you, isn't one of the best stories if Belichick gets back to the Super Bowl a year after Tom Brady?
Really? I don't know. I'm not there. I'm not here for that. I mean, and I don't have anything against Belichick at all. I guess I mean, no, I don't want that. I'd rather have like the Bills go. Yeah, get some new blood and Josh Allen. Kid played at Wyoming and now he's going to play in like 2-degree weather. And for those fans there, I think would be really cool. So yeah, I'm going New England, Buffalo.
See, I just think, you know what? There's always this, like, all right, let me ask you. I didn't have this on any rundown, but now that we're talking about it, if Brady goes to a Super Bowl, and let's just say for the sake of argument, he wins another one, and Belichick gets beat in the first round, does that impact at all Belichick's legacy because he hasn't been able to do it with it? Does?
Yes. But I don't think it doesn't negate what he accomplished with Brady.
No, he's a Hall of Famer, right?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So when I say yes, I just think for like stupid pundits like ourselves and like talking heads, they can make that argument like, well, he had Brady for all of those and that was Tom, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, that's a stretch. I do think, to your point, if he were to get back to Super Bowl and win another one, it would add to the legacy and there would never be that caveat, right? That connection to Brady for all of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If he gets to the Super Bowl, he eliminates. Brady eliminated.
Yes,
he eliminated it.
And that's why I think, like, for me personally, I like Tom Brady anyway, but I was pulling for him because there was always this narrative, is it Brady, is it Belichick? Yada, yada. I don't know why it always had to be one or the other, why it couldn't be both, but it did. And it was really cool to see Tom, go to Tampa and have the success he had. So yeah, why not? I mean, if Belichick does as well, then it definitely, it adds to his story for sure.
See, that's, I got to know Belichick 100 years ago when he was an assistant and I was an assistant, and I really liked the guy. Like, I just, Parcells and Belichick would come down to visit Coach Knight and us, and I just really liked the guy. We would hang out and talk and laugh, and Parcells would ride an exercise bike while smoking a cigarette. It was one of the greatest scenes of all time. You imagine, Schwinn Aerodynes, and he's holding a Schwinn Aerodyne with a cigarette in his hand as he's pumping.
That belongs in a time capsule.
Right in our coach's locker room. It's amazing. Let me ask you, because this is a debate in Indianapolis here. Carson Wentz, the whole thing went a little bit south, and everybody says our general manager is great. And then we get debating what's the most important non-quarterback position. I'm going to tell you what I think it is. I think it's left tackle or edge rusher. In your opinion, what's the most important non-quarterback position in football?
Now, you're not putting any parameters on this, right? Just non-quarterback?
Non-quarterback.
Kicker.
Oh, baby, really?
Yes.
I'm not mad at you for that.
I'm kind of being facetious, but look at the games this past weekend. Look at what happened in Oakland. Look at the national championship game. We do not talk enough about special teams. Kickers do not get the credit they deserve. Field position is huge. Special teams is huge. Field goals win games. I'm going kicker.
Hey, I'm not mad at you for it, but I am so thankful, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm so thankful. Like when Andrew was playing at Ohio State, Michigan, when he was in the game, I was a freaking mess because you screw it up. When I screwed it up in '84, no social media. I had to answer to my friends and all that. Now it's national. I swear to you, I'm so happy my son was not a kicker. I would crap myself if he went out there like Daniel Carlson or whoever. Couldn't do it.
I agree. There's so much pressure on them as individuals in that moment. And it's insane how many games are determined by a field goal at the end. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. Like as a mom, that would be really hard. Really hard. And they never get the credit either. Right?
No.
Like, like maybe they're celebrated at the end, they get lifted up for 2 minutes, but in the post-game press conference, that's never going to be the kicker. Except for Rodrigo at Georgia. He was the star, Blankenship. But other than that, they're just kind of like guys. They determine so much of what happens in the course of the game, and usually the outcome at the end. It's all on their shoulders or feet.
Can you imagine you're the kicker that missed a field goal and you're at Alabama and you lose and you got to walk on that campus the next Monday? Oh.
Or think about like all the Miami, like Florida State kickers back in the day with like the wide left and the wide right and how many, and then you got to go to class. And,
man. I remember I turned the ball over in 1984 with a minute and a half to go. We were up 1. We didn't go to the Final Four. It was in the Elite Eight. And I'm like, all right, how am I going to handle this? Because I was a mess. So on the Monday, I went to the Hyper, and Hyper's where like 10 courts, everybody plays at 3:30 and whatever. So I show up and I see everybody looking at me, and I'm like, screw it. I got my two buddies. I said, let's reenact the steal that the guy made on me. And everybody lightened up after that, started laughing.
That's awesome.
Social media now.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's insane.
Baby.
People are crazy, man. People are so crazy. And they say things that you would never say to a person. Like, that's how we become so just disconnected and like desensitized. Like the things people write. Like, if you read it out loud, you're like, seriously? Like, you wrote this to a human? And they never would have come up to you in the rec center and said that, the Hyper.
No, they just started laughing and everybody was
That's well played, though. Like,
yeah.
Credit to you. That's really well played. That's really funny, actually.
You know, and then, you know, I remember I went to this bar, Nick's. We were out and there was a table and guys and girls and everybody was kind of, you know, if I handled it wrong, it was going to be a bad situation.
Okay.
So I just bought them all drinks. I said, here, man, here, you know what? What can I tell you? I remember I said, we should be in Seattle right now. I screwed it up here. Here's 2 pictures. Leave me alone.
We should be here right now. My bad.
Yeah, we should all be in Seattle. We should be playing Virginia, whoever the hell. And all right, I think people disagree with you. Jody Shelton says, kicker, come on, they aren't even football players.
I mean, she kind of has a fair point, but they do a lot to determine the outcome of the game.
You know, Bart Fox is laughing right now because you said, dude.
I did say, I did. I was like, is he going to catch it? He's so going to call me on it if he catches it.
There would be something in our ear, right?
Dakich show. He would be. He'd snicker, that little Bart Fox snicker.
There would be something. Hey, Ellison said doo-doo.
And then he watch you and Mike on the Snoop to see you guys laughing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Right. I totally did.
Oh, man, you're the best. Have a great Are you back in on the West Coast?
I am. I'm avoiding the single digits in Michigan right now. So thankful for that. Back in the sunshine.
Beach
People
day
are crazy
today,
here,
baby.
but it's warm.
It's Britney, bitch.
It's
Go
Britney,
find
bitch.
Britney.
Oops, I did it again.
You're the
Have
best.
a Britney Wednesday. See you, Double D.
Bye. That's the great Allison Williams. Man, I love talking to her. That'll be the best segment of the week. It's always that good. Jill Savage, Allison Williams. We need to make it Women's Week around here. I do that on my radio show, and it's always the best. All right, when we come back, I got a lot left here, including some fades. Yesterday, I think I went 2 and 3. Look, if I'm going to give you 5 bets, we're not going to win it all. And I got a sack up that I tried to get to the other day that I want to get to today. We got a sack up. We got fades. Tell your friends. We don't have enough viewers on Twitter. Get out there and watch. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. I got a couple sack-ups for you, and then I've got some fades for you. Look, people have been saying this forever. I've had health officials telling me forever and ever and ever. There's a difference between going to the hospital because of COVID or showing up at the hospital with something else and then finding out you're with COVID. Look, here's the deal. I don't understand, and maybe this show isn't for you today because it's gotten pretty political, but the truth of the matter is, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. This is all coming out now because the midterms are coming up and people are realizing, frankly, on the left, that this ain't going well for them. It's not. It's not going well at all. So what's happening now is the truth is starting to come out. New York City, you saw it. You know, did you come in for a car crash and we found out you had COVID, or did you come in because of COVID? We've said this all along, and it has frustrated me forever that this is such a difficult thing. I had health professionals, I had people from Eskenazi Health on my show for 60 straight days, healthcare workers, as we celebrated them, how hard they worked. A former teammate of mine named Brian Sloan is a doctor. Great dude, one of the best, if not the best human beings that I know. And we had a conversation about the work that healthcare workers are doing at Eskenazi Health in Indianapolis, which is what Brian is a part of. So what did we do? We brought these folks on every day and did a segment. And so many of them over the course of time says, you know, yeah, COVID's horrible. Yeah, we got all these people on, it's awful. But some of them that were administrators said, well, you know, hospitals get money for saying COVID is the reason a person came in here. It inflated the numbers. If I get in a car wreck and I'm perfectly healthy, they draw blood and I've got COVID, I am not in the hospital for COVID. I don't know why this is so hard, but the numbers have gotten inflated. Now all of a sudden, and Clay's been all over this, now all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. New York is saying we're going to identify the real numbers. We're going to identify what people are actually showing up at the hospital for. Well, why don't we do that all the time? Why hasn't that been our thing? I know why it wasn't early, and nobody can tell me differently. Look, I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but I know why all of these news organizations, not named Fox, had the running total of deaths, the running total of how many cases there are, and I also know why it stopped. We all know this. It was to influence the election, and good for you, man. It worked, and now we got a guy in there that swore to God his election platform was, I am going to stop COVID. Trump can't do it. Biden can't. Well, the numbers have never been higher. So we knew this going in. Everybody knew this going in. Biden was full of shit. He's been full of shit, and he'll continue to be full of shit. I mean, let's just be honest when it comes to COVID. Simple. You can be crazy and be on this side and say, no, he's not. There's nothing he can do. Yeah, okay, fine. But real people know the deal. And a lot of real people are Democrats. A lot of real people are Republican. But you're not just insane. So how about we sack the hell up as a country and give us the real COVID numbers across the board? Not just in New York, where all of a sudden they say they're going to do this. Hell no, not there. How about all the way across the board, we just look at people like me, people like you, and just give them the freaking facts. That's it. No bullshit. No, hey, well, you know, Jimmy came in with his hand cut off, but he's got COVID, so he's here for COVID. You know why they're doing it? Of course, because the truth is starting to come out. Liberals are scared that they're going to get their ass beat in the midterms. I'm not crazy either side, but I'll tell you this. Anybody that's been involved that I can vote for in BS in the numbers, I ain't voting for. You can call me whatever ist you want. I live in Indianapolis, and I'm paying attention to this. I've had enough, man. Damn. We get so hysterical. We get so full of shit about the most important things in our society. We get full of shit about things that can potentially kill us. Think about what a society what that means for our society. Drives me nuts. Hey, look, I'm not a big Trump guy. I didn't vote for him. I'm sorry, I didn't. People think that I did simply because, I don't sit there and rail against the other side. I don't rail against anybody. I don't give a shit about mean tweets. I've told you before, I care that gas prices are down. The stock market is up. And I don't hear the word inflation. Those are things from my youth. Now, all of you out there can go, well, what about this? I'm telling you what I care about. You care about what you care about, and I'm adding a fourth, and that's just tell us the truth on this deadly disease. Sack the hell up. All right. Here's a sports sack the hell up. My Indianapolis Colts. My Indianapolis Colts, man, I got to tell you. You guys think because you pay attention to the national narrative, and if you look at the national narrative, the Indianapolis Colts general manager, according to some guy named Greg Rosenthal, wrote an article in the NFL.com saying that Chris Ballard is the best general manager in the NFL. Jesus Christ, the dude is 42-42. He's ahead of guys that have won Super Bowls. He took over an organization that was 52-34 previous to him. Left him the greatest quarterback, apparently, you guys tell me, in Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck played 16 games, started the Pro Bowl. Andrew Luck didn't quit because he got beat up. He got quit because, frankly, the Colts, he knew they weren't going anywhere under this regime. And guess what? He was right. So now they signed Carson Wentz to this monster deal. Carson Wentz is their guy. If you've watched Hard Knocks, man, Carson Wentz this, Carson Wentz that. Frank Reich's the quarterback whisperer. Frank Reich's the greatest quarterback coach ever. Frank Reich, my ass. But everybody in the national media that has absolutely no idea praises these guys. Hell, the Chicago Bears are interviewing their assistant GM and their defensive coordinator. Their defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, is friends with my wife and her family. I want Matt Eberflus to be good. I want Matt Eberflus to do well. But he's been awful. He's been awful as offensive coordinator. They play in the easiest division in football and can't make the playoffs. The Colts now did back in the day, they gave Carson Wentz over $130 million. To this point, I think he's gotten $68 million over one season. They didn't make the playoffs. The dude was horsebleed in the biggest game of the year. Now all the Colts are talking about is bringing in someone new. Sack the hell up. Make Carson Wentz better. I mean, damn. You're the quarterback whisperer. Here's the other thing. Jimmy Irsay. Jimmy Irsay is the owner. Do you know what Jimmy Irsay did? Think about this. Think about this. Jimmy Irsay, after their loss to Jacksonville as the owner, he called in Chris Ballard and Frank Reich, the two coaches. He called them in and made them have a meeting. How about that? Hey, you two idiots, get in here. We're going to have a meeting. So what happened out of that meeting? Well, when Frank Reich, after that meeting, was asked about Carson Wentz, what do you think he said? He didn't mention Wentz by name, and he said he's going to be evaluated. Sack up, boys. You brought this guy in for $130 million. You knew it wasn't going to be an easy ride. Get off your ass, sack the hell up, and make the guy better. All I've heard out of this regime, we're all about relationships. How you doing? We're all about relationships. Relationships, my ass. Wins are the only thing that matters in the NFL. You brought this guy in. He's your guy. Frank Reich and him share a lot in common. Bible verses, a father-son relationship, a mentorship. The first thing I'm telling Carson Wentz, and look for this in your city, first thing I'm telling Carson Wentz is stop talking about yourself. Period. You watch Hard Knocks tonight. Watch how much Carson Wentz talks about himself. He did it so much that the running back, Jonathan Taylor, said this, I already know. You know what that's code for? Quit talking about yourself. I know the deal. Shut the F up. Let's go. I'm telling you, man. Wentz my ass, but if you're going to bring him in for $130 million, how about you sack the hell up, and how about you put him in a position in his second year here where maybe he can win? And how do you do that? You demand. One of the reasons Andrew Luck left, I've been told by people that have been around Andrew Luck, is that everybody in the Colts organization kissed his ass. The one thing that was on every NFL scout worth a damn scouting report is he does not like to be praised. He loves to be challenged. This regime in Indy is all about relationships. We're all about relationships. You know that preacher, that grin fucks you? You know what I'm talking about? Hi. We're all about relationships. As he's got his right hand in your pocket, yeah, that's what you got with the Hi. How you doing today? My ass. It's time to sack the hell up Indianapolis Colts. If you want to hear more, I'm going off on it at noon today. It's going to be unbelievable. Fade Dakich. College basketball is rolling. And I'm going to keep track starting right now. I don't really do it because at night I'm in the middle of January and I'm reading books. But I'm going to write this down tonight. University of Georgia. University of Georgia at Mississippi State. I was talking to Tom Crean the other day. He likes his team. I'm going to take the 14.5. This is actually my best bet. This one and the next one. University of Georgia is struggling with injury. Mississippi State, you know who the coach is? Ben Howland. You know who Ben Howland is? He had Russell Westbrook and all those guys. Took him to the Final Four, and then one kid bitched, whined, and moaned, and they got rid of Ben Howland, and now he's at Mississippi State, and he's doing pretty good. But the truth of the matter is, Mississippi State's just okay. Stark Vegas, there's not going to be a crowd. Tom Crean's team, you can bitch, whine, and moan about Tom Crean, but Tom Crean's team play hard at Georgia. And I think there's going to be a little pride bump out of Georgia after Kirby Smart and UGA won a national championship. If I were the basketball coach, I'd be like, fellas, we got to sack the hell up and get going. I'm not sure I'm gonna, but I may bet Georgia to win this game. Small amount for a big win. I may bet them on the money line, but I for damn sure am going to bet them plus 14.5 tonight. For damn sure. I look at a lot of things when I make bets, and one of them is the coach. Both coaches are really good. I watched Georgia play the other day. They got beat by Kentucky. They play hard. Really, really hard. It's time to get going. UGA plus 14.5 at Ole Miss. The next one is Temple. Now, Temple stinks. Temple at Tulsa. Now, I'm not exactly sure because I haven't looked. I haven't looked at what the attendance numbers are at Tulsa, but Tulsa, along with a couple other cities, Wichita, Dayton, unbelievable basketball towns. Like when Tulsa basketball was rolling under Tubby Smith and Bill Self and even Danny Manning, man, oh man, the crowds were unbelievable. I don't mean kind of good, I mean really good. I mean, these are tough places to play. Dayton, tough place, packed house. I'm telling you, Tulsa is mostly that way. But the problem with Tulsa is Frank Haith is there, and he's okay. I mean, Frank Haith is a nice coach. Frank Haith has done a lot. Frank Haith survived all kind of crap that he was doing, and good for Frank Haith and good for Tulsa. But the truth of the matter is, Temple stinks. Temple basketball has gone to hell in a handbasket. Temple basketball isn't even interesting. Temple basketball is one of those teams where, frankly, they used to be really good under John Chaney. They were okay, pretty good under Fran Dunphy. But Temple right now, under Aaron McKee, and I feel bad because I really like Aaron McKee, Temple basketball is not very good. So, Tulsa basketball is just good enough. Tulsa basketball is good enough to win this game by more than 3. In fact, this is also one of my games of the day. I think Temple basketball is going to win by 20. I think they're going to win going away. I don't think this is going to be close. It's going to be on ESPNU, so you can watch this. You can watch this and say, damn, Double D was right. I'm trying to give you a little bit of something here. I'm not saying that Temple's great. They've lost close games. Or Tulsa's great. They've lost close games. They lost their last two, one by 5 by SMU and one by 3 against Memphis, both really talented teams. But I am saying that they're a hell of a lot better than Temple. This line shocked me. It's only -3. Take this, put DoorDash money on Temple. I'm sorry, on Tulsa. DoorDash money on Tulsa. Lastly, Tulane. Tulane plays Wichita State at Wichita State. Dan, I thought you said Wichita State was one of the toughest places to play. It is. Then why are you betting against him? I'll tell you why. Coaches. Ron Hunter is the coach at Temple. At Tulane. You may remember Ron Hunter from the NCAA tournament, where his son was knocking in deep jump shots when he was at Georgia State to win the NCAA first or second round game. I know it was a first round. I can't remember if the kid hit the second rounder. But anyway, Ron Hunter is a far, far better coach than what's going on at freaking Wichita State. Wichita State, yeah, man, they have a fantastic program. They have a fantastic environment. They are a team that many people enjoy in Wichita. They are a serious, serious, serious program. But they're not coached like it right now. They've lost 2 in a row. They haven't won a game since December 22nd. Now, they got blown out by Memphis at home, and they got blown out by Houston on the road. I don't think that Tulane is going to win this game, but one thing I know is that Tulane's coach is going to keep this closer. Closer than 9. If I were going to put these games in order, I would bet big on Georgia plus 14.5, but I would bet bigger on Tulsa -3. That's what I would do. Now, that's what I'm going to do. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. I'll bet you anything, and I mean anything, that Tulsa line has moved. Every time I give you these lines, I give them when I wake up because the lines are out, things are fresh. And then I look at these lines, and I'm like, crap. What am I supposed to say? Oh, snap. The line has changed. Well, here's a couple of things that I'm going to look at. I'll take Tulsa until it gets to about 6. If it gets to 6, I could see that backdoor covering. But right now, it went down to 2.5. I'm putting money on that immediately. Tulsa -2.5 is giving me money. They are literally handing me cash. You can clip this. You can give it to me. You can say whatever. I'll take it. Tulane is now 9.5. I'll take that too. Georgia, let me see what this is. I'm just telling you, I know a lot of you out there like to bet. I do too. I like to sit at home at night, make a bet or two. Nothing crazy, but I am going to take DoorDash money on Tulsa at 2.5 because I think it's worth it. There are a lot of games tonight. There are a ton of games tonight. Like, I don't know UCF against, you know what that feels like? That feels like gambling. Georgia is now 14.5. That's where it was. I'm taking that. And my toes are going to be tapping because we're going to win some money tonight on those 2 games, and then I'm going to parlay them. If you bet $10 on Georgia to just win the game outright, which I think they're going to have a chance, you get $85. Pretty good. Notre Dame and Clemson. It's a 3-point spread. I would take Notre Dame in that. But the truth of the matter is, I don't know Clemson well enough. Clemson's one of those teams that can go on the road and beat you. Notre Dame's one of those teams that can lay an egg. Kind of starting to dig Notre Dame's team. Kind of starting to like them. Kind of starting to think, wait a second, this team ain't bad. I'm not touching Michigan State and Minnesota. Now, it's a game I'm going to watch, and I think Michigan State's really good. I think Minnesota stinks. I watched them against Indiana on Sunday. They hung around, but they stinks. They ain't good enough at the end of games. So if I were going to bet that game, somebody just asked me, if I were going to bet that game, I think I would take Michigan State, sweat it for about 35 minutes, and then Sparty will take it out at the end of the game. That's what I think. In review, my best bets, Georgia plus 15 or 14.5 at Mississippi State, and Tulsa -3 at home against Tulane. A third bet, I think it's on TV tonight. I'll take Tulane -9 at Wichita State. I ain't in love with it. But I ain't mad at it either. All right. For the rest of the day, here's your homework. Your homework is to watch or listen to my show at noon. 12 to 3, 107.5, The Dan. Actually, it's The Fan. By the way, I read another book last night. Your homework comes from this. Tell me what you're doing in January. Go out and do something nice for somebody. Go out and buy somebody's lunch. Go out and give something to the homeless guy. Go out and call your friend that you haven't talked to in a while. Go out and mend a relationship. Just do something today. Anything. Something nice for somebody else. It can be an extra large tip for somebody. You know what to do. And start reading a damn book. Here's what I've started to do. After this show, I drive downtown. After this show, I do another show, noon to 3, downtown Indy. I go downstairs in our studio place or in our building, and I get on the elliptical for, I don't know, a couple miles. All right? Here's the deal. Then I come home. Then I do whatever my wife wants me to do. I usually walk the dog for a couple miles. It's cold outside. I like walking the dog in the cold. It makes me feel like I'm a forest ranger. It makes me feel like a man. I think it's 20 degrees here today. I'll be walking my dog because I got to feel like a man. And then I do something else around here. I don't know what it is, but I'm usually pretty tired. Grab a little dinner, come downstairs, do my homework that Lauren sets me, turn the TV on, turn the volume off, and read a book. Read a freaking book. Read a damn book. I'm starting a new one. I'll tell you what it is. It's sitting over there, and I can't remember the name. It's a book that tells you how to get rid of the excess noise in your head. I think I'm going to have John Gordon on. John Gordon said he wanted to come on, and we haven't been able to reach him. I need to get an author on here. Hey, by the way, let me know who you would like to have on our show. ESPN people can't come on because Clay and ESPN are brawling. Barstool guys, they can. Tried to get Danny Plezak of the MLB Network. I'll try him again tomorrow. He's golfing today. Lastly, huge thanks as always to Jesse. Huge thanks as always to Donnie. Huge thanks as always to Lauren for putting this show on. I'm honored that a lot of you watch. But do me a favor. Tell your damn friends. We need to get more people watching this. And tell me what you think we can do to make this better. Last thing, John Lester, retired. Anybody on the 2016 Cubs, salute. 16-year career for John Lester. Won World Series with the Boston Red Sox. Won a World Series with the Chicago Cubs. You do those two things, you're a Hall of Famer in my book. Love you, John Lester. Congratulations on a great career. Dakich, out. See you tomorrow.